The stealth bomber B-2 is a masterpiece of aeronautical engineering. Even though the first public flight was on 1989 from Palmdale to Edwards Air Force Base, B-2 is still one of the world's most deadly weapons and the most iconic plane ever built. The B-2 Spirit first entered service in 1997, and it has been touted as having more firepower than an aircraft carrier. Development of the heavy strategic bomber began under the Advanced Technology Bomber project during the Carter administration in the 1970s, and has been cited for one of the factors that lead President Jimmy Carter to cancel the B-1A bomber program. The multi-role B-2 was designed to penetrate dense anti-aircraft defenses and to deploy both conventional and thermonuclear weapons, including up to 80,500-pound class global positioning system guided bombs or 16 2,400-pound B-83 nuclear bombs. The bomber can carry up to 16 B-61 or megaton-yield B-83 nuclear gravity bombs on the rotary launchers inside its two bomb bays. The aircraft's avionics are also hardened versus the electromagnetic pulses generated by nuclear blasts. The U.S. Air Force's stealth bomber is a key component of the nation's long-range strike arsenal and one of the most survivable aircraft in the world. Its unique stealth characteristics allow it to penetrate the most sophisticated enemy defenses. The B-2 is 69 feet long, 17 feet high, and has a wingspan of 172 feet, half the length of a football field. It can reach a high subsonic speed and can also reach an altitude of more 50,000 feet. The stealth bomber can travel 6,000 nautical miles without refueling and 10,000 nautical miles with only one refueling. It can reach any point in the world within hours and can carry a payload of 20 tons. The aircraft was developed to travel deep into enemy territory to deploy ordnance, which could include nuclear weapons. The B-2 is a flying wing aircraft, meaning that it has no fuselage or tail. Low observability provides a greater freedom of action at high altitudes, thus increasing both range and field of view for onboard sensors. The development and construction of the B-2 required pioneering use of computer-aided design and manufacturing technologies due to its complex flight characteristics and design requirements to maintain very low visibility to multiple means of detection. The B-2 was meant to cruise past enemy air defenses with stealth characteristics. The B-2 has also made some historic, record-setting flights. After 9/11, it ventured all the way to Afghanistan for a bombing run that took 4 hours. Then it landed, made a quick change to a replacement crew, and flew back to Missouri in 3 to 4 hours. Each aircraft has a crew of 2, a pilot in the left seat and mission commander in the right, and has provisions for a third crew member if needed. The aircraft has a bed, a toilet, and a microwave aboard, so creature comforts are covered for pilots who need a break. The B-2 is the most expensive bomber in history. The cost of each aircraft averaged $737 million in 1997. Total procurement costs averaged $929 million per aircraft, which includes spare parts, equipment, retrofitting, and software support. The total program cost, which includes development, engineering, and testing, averaged $2.1 billion per aircraft. Right now, the aircraft would cost approximately $1.157 billion. 20 B-2s are operated by the United States Air Force. Though originally designed in the 1980s for Cold War operations scenarios, B-2s have been used in combat to drop bombs on Serbia during the Kosovo, Serbia conflict in the late 1990s, and see continued use during the ongoing wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. One aircraft, the Spirit of Kansas, was lost when it crashed on takeoff in 2008. The cause of the crash was condensation buildup in the aircraft's flight computer that caused a malfunction. Both crew members ejected safely. The Air Force plans to operate the remaining B-2s until at least 2032 when the Northrop Grumman E-21 Raider begins to enter service. The B-2's low observable or stealth characteristics enable the undetected penetration of sophisticated anti-aircraft defenses and to attack even heavily defended targets. This stealth comes from a combination of reduced acoustic, infrared, visual, and radar signatures to evade the various detection systems that could be used to detect and be used to direct attacks against an aircraft. To reduce optical visibility during daylight flights, the B-2 is painted in an anti-reflective paint. The undersides are dark because it flies at high altitudes 50,000 feet, and at that altitude a dark gray painting blends well into the sky. It is speculated to have an upward-facing light sensor which alerts the pilot to increase or reduce altitude to match the changing illuminance of the sky. The bomber does not always fly stealthily. When nearing air defenses, pilots stealth up the B-2, a maneuver whose details are secret. The aircraft is stealthy except briefly when the bomb bay opens. The B-2's clean, low-drag flying wing configuration not only provides exceptional range but is also beneficial to reducing its radar profile. The B-2 is stored in a $5 million specialized air-conditioned hangar called the B-2 shelter system to maintain its stealth coating. Every 7 years, this coating is carefully removed by being washed off of crystallized wheat starch so that the B-2's surfaces can be inspected for any dents or scratches. The majority of the B-2 is made out of a carbon graphite composite material that is stronger than steel, lighter than aluminum, and absorbs a significant amount of radar energy. The B-2 is assembled with unusually tight engineering tolerances to avoid leaks as they could increase its radar signature. Operational history. The B-2's combat debut was in 1999 during the Kosovo War. It was responsible for destroying 33% of selected Serbian bombing targets in the first 8 weeks of U.S. involvement in the war. During this war, 6 B-2s flew non-stop to Yugoslavia from their home base in Missouri and back, totaling 30 hours. Although the bombers accounted 50 sorties out of a total of 34,000 NATO sorties, they dropped 11% of all bombs. On 7 May 1999, during the same Kosovo War, a B-2 dropped 5 bombs on the Chinese embassy, killing several staff. By then, the B-2 had dropped 500 bombs in Yugoslavia. The B-2 saw service in Afghanistan, striking ground targets in support of Operation Enduring Freedom. With aerial refueling support, the B-2 flew one of its longest missions to date from Whiteman Air Force Base, Missouri to Afghanistan and back. During the Iraq War, B-2s operated from Diego Garcia and an undisclosed forward operating location. In March 2011, B-2s were the first U.S. aircraft into action in Operation Odyssey Dawn, the UN-mandated enforcement of the Libyan no-fly zone. 3 B-2s dropped 40 bombs on a Libyan airfield in support of the UN no-fly zone. The B-2s flew directly from the U.S. mainland across the Atlantic Ocean to Libya. A B-2 was refueled by Allied tanker aircraft 4 times during each round-trip mission. On 28 March 2013, 2 B-2s flew a round trip of 13,000 miles from Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri to South Korea, dropping dummy ordnance on the Jik-do target range. The mission, part of the annual South Korean-United States military exercises, was the first time that B-2s overflew the Korean peninsula. Tensions between the Koreas were high. North Korea protested against the B-2's participation and made threats of retaliatory nuclear strikes against South Korea and the United States. On 18 January 2017, 2 B-2s attacked an ISIS training camp 19 miles southwest of Sirte, Libya, killing around 85 militants. The B-2s together dropped 108 500-pound precision-guided joint direct attack munition bombs. The B-2 stealth bomber is getting old and will eventually be augmented by the B-21 Raider. The USAF had already declared that there were 5 B-21 in various states of production at Northrop Grumman's facility in Palmdale, California. This was in September 2021. It is still unclear when the B-21 might make its public debut. When the flight testing of the Raider begins, it will take place at Edwards Air Force Base in California. The Air Force expects to start delivering the first operational examples soon. These will go to Ellsworth Air Force Base in South Dakota. After that, units will be ready at Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri and Dice Air Force Base in Texas. Defense Battalion TV channel is already preparing a new video about B-21, so if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.